This is Mandatory Listening, a podcast about the whats, whys, and hows of effective practical leadership shared by successful leaders and by your host, Dan Mann.
This is Mandatory Listening with your host, Dan Mann. Good morning, listeners. We are joined today on the other side of the continent in Mountain Time by Brian Hawkins. Morning, Brian.
Morning.
Brian's the president, founder, and chief bottle washer of Fixture Lap.
Yeah, baby.
What is Fixture Lap?
At Fixture Lab, we design retail stores, especially for specialty stores, like from 3,000 to 20,000 square feet. We do a lot of cycling, fly fishing, running, stores like that. We also have a line of retail store fixtures that tend to be a lot cycling specific because there's such unique challenges in that category to display product in the store.
You're underselling yourself. You've done a lot of this. You've been doing this for a long time. So I know you've worked with some pretty big retail leaders in this space. So brag a little bit. Give me some numbers. Give me some stats. What's out there in the country that you've been involved in?
Oh, man. We've probably been involved in 150 or so store remodels or redos or building new stores. We, until a couple years ago, were integral in helping Giant design all of their stores around the country. Because my background is in brand management and advertising, I also have a connection to the industry in that direction, which in a interesting way was the genesis of this company, where we're looking at the way that a store can enhance your connection with your customers for your brand. So we've worked with SRAM a lot and all of the brands within SRAM. We've worked with Giant. We've worked with a ton of individual retailers across the country. Fleet Feet, man, there's the list is really long about all of the different kinds of retailers we've worked with.
Yeah, the Fleet Feet store in Winston-Salem, North Carolina that you designed is absolutely gorgeous. So you're likely to see Brian's work anywhere if you go into a specialty sports retail business. And that's really kind of why we're talking today. And Brian, we know each other well, and we've worked together for many years. I know you have a passion for the in-store experience and the feel, the touch, the sense of the store, and how important that is for the retailer's success.
Yeah, the challenge, like I was just saying about a store, is that it's the most tangible example, it's the most tangible connection you can get with a customer for your brand, because you're physically there with them in the same space. And so the more tools that we can give you to enhance the emotional connection that you have when you're in that space together, the better.
This one has nothing to do with the product selection or the technical aspects of the features and benefits of the product you're selling. It's the emotional connection to the space.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it means a lot of things. It does mean the product in the end, because that's what people are seeking in part when they come into the store. So you got to have the right selection that way. But it also is, it's the design of the store so that the store doesn't get in your way. And so that enhances the experience. And it's the graphics and the finishes within the store. And it's even the policies of the store help to contribute to that. And then there's things like the music and other like audible aspects of what's going on inside the store.
And that brings us around to our topic for today. So I was struck by an interesting article that you had in your newsletter. And by the way, how can our listeners find your newsletter, Brian?
If you go to fixturelab.com, there's a little blog link right there, and that will get you to the blog. Once you've been there and you have shared who you are, then you'll be on the list for the newsletter when we send those out, or emails if you want them.
Awesome. So, but the topic for the day is the role that music plays in the retail experience. So let's dial this into the sensory sounds and experience. So I'll just do a sort of a preamble. Why is music so important to the retail experience?
Well, one way to look at it is imagine having a party at your house, having a bunch of your best friends over to the house on a nice fall evening. You're having a great time, and imagine not playing any music. You just wouldn't do that at home.
Where's the music?
You would always have music at home. And it's because kind of intuitively when you're there, You're thinking, oh, I want to make this the best possible experience for my people that I have coming over. So you're going to play music to kind of keep things going and get the emotion just the way you want it. It's the same exact thing in a store. And I don't feel like our argument here, like, I don't think you and I are suggesting that anybody out there doesn't think that music is important in a store. I think everybody pretty universally would say that they like music, even if it's just to keep the employees happy so that they don't go crazy inside the silent store.
Well, in the world of big retail, it's high science, and this is an industry unto itself, into the billions of dollars, just the sounds of retail. So, when we think about probably most of our audience, which is in a more specialty side of retail, it may be hard to execute well, and it is not something that should be an afterthought. It's not something that should be left to chance. It has to be designed and it has to be implemented with a focus. So, we're here. What's that?
Well, there's some research that's been done in the industry that helps to kind of frame how important it is.
Yeah, fire away.
There's a company called Heartbeats International, and they are an international branding consultancy, and they basically deal with the audible aspects of your brand. So it's just like what you just said. They take the science of how you connect with your customers, with your clientele, very seriously, and they have done a lot of research. You can easily find articles online about what their research has revealed, but there are 5 truths that they kind of push out there to be truths in the store environment about music. One is that people rank music as more difficult to live without than sports, movies, or newspapers. Like it's something that they would give up last after those other things. Playing the right music in your business makes customers stay longer. In fact, I have a stat. Well, I'll share that in a second after I get through the 5 here. Music played in your business affects your customers' opinion about your brand. Music enhances the well-being amongst employees and workplaces. And people think it's important that the artists, musicians, songwriters get paid for the music being played in public spaces. So there's a lot of aspects there that make the music that you play in your store really, really important.
Well, I can picture and remember times when I was in a store that I was enjoying it, to your point about making customers stay longer. And I use my Shazam app on a regular basis in stores I like. Oh, that's a great song. I haven't heard that in a while. Let me grab that song. And it's a kinetic connection to the store I'm in, and the fact that they're cool and they get it, and I feel good when I'm there, which makes me stay longer.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there's a fun little experiment that they did where they found out that 8 out of 10 customers will buy French wine when French music is being played in a wine store. 7 out of 10 will choose a German wine when German music is being played. So there is a direct connection between what people are hearing and the way they're participating in your store.
I'm more susceptible to hypnotism than I thought, I guess, Brian.
Exactly. Well, and it makes you wonder, like, you're in a fly fishing store, or you're in a running shop or a bike store, and there's dirty rap on the radio. Like, I don't know what that makes you buy.
Yeah, it makes me leave. It's what it makes me do.
41 or 30 to 40% of the respondents say that they would negatively respond, like as in leave the store, if there were no music, and about the same number say that they would leave if the wrong music was being played. So, it can actually force people out of your store, which is scary.
You actually said in the 5 points that were important. One of those was it brings together the staff, and it has people feel good and happy about their workplace. Is it actually, to some degree, a conflict or a potential contrast between what the staff would prefer to listen to, as you said, very difficult, hard music that perhaps is a small group of people would prefer, and that happens to be what the staff would like, versus what the buying audience, that is the consumer and the customers of that store, would prefer? And is that a conflict and a problem that retail owners have to consider?
It can be a problem. I've personally found that most employees in a store understand that the stuff that's at the fringe that they might like to listen to isn't probably the best music for their customers at times. And sometimes there are a couple different environments in a store, like you might have a back room, like say in a bike shop, where you have the service area that's in the back and not necessarily customer facing. Different music might be played there than would be facing the customer out on the sales floor. So, that can be important to keep in mind too. There is so much music out there and so many good tools for music that even people with a very specific taste for a certain kind of music can be satisfied with a mix that you choose that is appropriate for customers and does help keep their day going in terms of keeping them upbeat and engaged as well.
Well, let's divide this conversation into two parts. And look, if you're okay with it, look at it. First of all, what's the technology and the execution of the right music, and how do we? I mean, is it as simple as putting in a small speaker in the store or around the store? Is it more sophisticated than that? Let's talk about just the execution of it and the equipment needed and how to do that. And then secondly, let's talk about the quality or the types of music and some of the standards for the selection of the music that we would choose, and understanding our customers' preferences and have that kind of music that people want to stay around longer for. So if we can divide it that way, let's start with the technology and the equipment that creates the right musical space.
The great, amazing thing is that we are, it's 2018 or later, and we have such great tools these days, technology-wise, to help you do what we're talking about inside your store. We've all been in small retailers where, if not literally, it feels like the person in the store has connected their phone to a Bluetooth speaker, and when they get a text, you hear the alert coming through the sound at the store. There's there's really basic ways that you can put music into your store like that. There's much more elaborate ways where you're hardwiring a big sound system with speakers in the ceiling or other places all around the store. But one of my favorite solutions these days, or kind of a genre of solutions, are wireless speakers that you can put and add to a store just all over the place.
Who's doing that? Are you talking about Sonos and that sort of wireless Bluetooth speaker? Or?
Yeah, my Sonos is my personal favorite. We've had basically 100% success when we've put Sonos into a store. They, basically kind of invented the category of the wireless speaker for homes. So they've been in it a while, and they've got amazing tools, lots of different kinds of tools that you can add to a system, really, really easy to use interface. And they have tons and tons of integration with all kinds of music services. So in my view, they're just a natural selection. The way that they work is you have different speaker products, different products in general that you can add to a store or to a home environment for that matter. And they just plug into the wall and they connect to your Wi-Fi inside the store. And you're able to control every speaker individually from your phone or from your computer, or you can control all of the speakers at the same time and set the volumes. You can equalize them for different areas of the store in case that's necessary. One of the things that people miss on a lot of the time in stores is the music is being played over a system that does not sound good. And the better the sound quality, the better the frequency range and response of that system is, the better it's going to fit alongside you talking to a customer instead of drowning you out. And a bad system, we've all been in stores that sound like that too. There's no bass. The high end of the frequency range in those speakers is bad. So what that does is it chokes all of that music down into this very narrow bandwidth, which happens to be around the bandwidth that you talk in. So it can make it hard to talk inside the store comfortably.
You're talking about great quality instead of high volume. And I am picturing, forgive me, Abercrombie & Fitch as a store that's looking maybe for volume over quality. At least when I go in there, well, which is no longer, but when I would go in there shopping for my sons, it would be offensively loud and just uncomfortable to communicate. You have the same experience?
Well, they know their audience. The younger people that they are, attracting to the store probably don't mind that as much. But it's a good example. They tend to have a fairly good quality of sound in there as well, but they're just known for being very loud.
I just sound old. Is that what you're saying, Brian?
I'm calling you old, and I'm saying go to a different store, Dan.
Okay. So fair enough. So the quality is crucial, and you just referenced a couple of good examples. I have the Sonos system in my home, and for some reason when people are here, they're making offers to buy pieces of furniture. They're wanting to buy some of the wine. So it works well.
Yeah, the Sonos isn't the only solution out there. I mean, there's a million different solutions. It's my favorite because they've been doing it the longest, and they have the most to add to the system that you want to put in. So there's just really no end. And they're continually developing new stuff too, which is great. It's not like the old days when you hardwire a bunch of speakers into your store and then that thing stays exactly the same until the next millennium when someone buys the store and replaces it. The digital systems that we're talking about, they're constantly improving and getting better over time, and you can add and subtract and move things around all you want to.
Well, let's talk about the actual sound or the music choice. And I think this one's a pretty big, difficult topic. As you target your audience and you think about, issues associated with, number one, the age range of your shopper, maybe the stylistic preferences of your shopper, some of the culture associated with where you are. If you're in El Paso versus whether you're in New York, or whether you are in Portland versus whether you are in Eastern North Carolina, fill in the blank. All of the different culture matches. How would a retail owner go about making this very difficult choice about what to play?
Oh man, there's a lot that goes into that, and I don't want to miss out. I'm in danger of not mentioning something that's extremely important that's not on anybody's radar screen. And that is the legality of playing music in your business. I think I have yet to meet a retailer who understands what the real situation is out there. And the deal is that technically inside your store, because it's not a personal or private environment, you're using music in that store to enhance your product offering. So the companies the unions that take care of the music industry want to be compensated, and they want you to be licensed to play that music in your store. If you're a major retailer like a Abercrombie, you know this. You're paying the licensing fees and all that because clearly you have a big footprint in the retail business, and they know all about that. But the smaller independent stores almost never understand legally what's at stake there, and it is just it's like not paying your taxes if you're not taking care of the legal aspects of playing music inside your store.
Yeah, this takes me back to my old days in specialty retail in a company called Backrack, where we had 75 stores around the country, and we could not leave this to chance. So we had a subscription service for all of our stores. We had a series of CDs. I think we had 10 on rotation, and those had been paid for. Those had been the fees had been paid, and so the music that was being played in our stores, we were assured that those musicians were being compensated for that public playing of their music. And we may see that as a large retail challenge, but not a small retail challenge. And I'm hearing you say, no, that's everybody. If you're playing it publicly, you owe that money to those musicians. Fair?
Right. The argument might be for a smaller retailer. Well, yeah, technically that's true, but I've never heard of anybody getting in trouble for doing that. And I have to say, it's just in my conversations with the providers of music selections for businesses, it feels like it's just a matter of time until they get to you, because they understand what's going on out there, and they have a right to want to be compensated for things that you're using to enhance their business that you created. So the great thing is that we're in 2018 or later, and there's awesome tools you don't have to do 10 CDs anymore like you were just referring to. And those are the ones that are approved. You have millions and millions and millions of songs that are approved, licensed, and all ready to go through services that you can put on your sound system, whether you have Sonos or the hardwired system or your phone or whatever. You just need to pick a solution that is business ready to go, that has paid for that licensing for you.
Yeah, and I think that little bit of research that an owner could take might save you a lot of aggravation and possibly fines in the future. So it's incumbent upon you to find those resources and those services and subscriptions that take care of that for you. So it's easy.
Yeah, there's a lot of business solutions, and all you have to do is look for something that says that it's a music service for business. And I can't even think of anybody who is for business that isn't their primary aim isn't to take care of that licensing. So it's a piece of cake these days, but it's really, really important.
Yeah. And now going back to my back rack days, our target audience was men. Usually they were businessmen aged 25 to about 60, 65. And these were men who wore suits to work every day. And so we created a research project to find out what that group of men, that wide ranging group of men, preferred in their sounds. And where could you find the music that would be the most appealing? And once we did convene that research, we found some very interesting similarities across all that age group, not as a demographic, but as a psychographic, which was their preferred sounds. And then we went after that group of sounds and those music and those songs. And we actually targeted the range of music so that we were buying that subscription and eliminated all the choices that weren't right for that audience, and instead played the songs that were most going to be most appealing to the folks within our range. Is it possible today for a small retailer to do that level of research and find out what people would like and then play those songs?
Yeah, I mean, it's more possible now than ever. You have so many great options out there. The business solutions that we were just referring to, all of them are going to offer different levels of help in determining what your customer wants to hear. The more you want to allocate money-wise to finding the right solution, the more they're going to help you, of course. At a very basic level, you could look at the services that we're talking about kind of like a Spotify for your business. This is important. Spotify is not a business solution. It's not legal to play Spotify in your store. Pandora isn't, they have one, but the normal Pandora that everybody knows is not a business solution. So it's not legal to play inside your store. Neither is Apple Music or, many of the other consumer ones.
My playlist. It doesn't work.
But the solutions that you can get for business there's a lot of them, and they usually start out at a very basic level where you're in it. This is how they differentiate themselves, but you're picking music based on your personal taste or what you feel like your customer is going to like, kind of like you would from Spotify. It's like you're picking an artist that you want to kind of base your mix upon and have music played like that, or you're picking a style of music or a mood that you kind of want to hit in your store.
Where would an owner or a retailer go to look for some of those resources? What resources are top of mind? You mentioned Spotify does have a service, not the basic service, but they do have a retailer service.
They do have a business. Well, it's not called Spotify. It feels like it's a separate company that has teamed up with them to do it. And to be perfectly honest, I wasn't a big fan of the experience that I got when I tried their service out. I can't even remember the name of it at the moment, but there's quite a few good ones out there. Two of my favorites are a place called Sound Machine. That's one word, Sound Machine. And then Custom Channels. Both are accessible if you had a Sonos system. They're inside the list of the gazillion different services that you can use with the Sonos system.
A million or a gazillion? Because you've
Well, it's somewhere between a gazillion and a boatload.
All right, it's a lot. Got it.
They're a couple of my faves. Real easy to get. The price is for the two of those is between $25 and $35 a month. All of the licensing is taken care of. And then they both offer a higher end product that you could opt into if you wanted to, where they help you curate the selection of the music very hands-on. The more effort you want to put into that, the more they're going to help you, and they can dial it in to, a very, very specific level.
So what a retailer has to do is ensure that the sound quality is, first of all, robust enough to have credibility and sound good and be enjoyable, but not so blastingly loud that it drives customers out. So that's step one. Step two, do the research to find what your consumer, what your shopper prefers and the style of music that's going to be most appealing to the type of people that shop with you. And do your homework to make sure you're legally playing those songs and you're fitting into the appropriate business strategy for using music in your business.
There's a word that you just used, which is appropriate. And that leads into a whole nother category of conversation about what we're talking about. And that's the appropriateness of the music in terms of language, themes, and things like that inside the lyrics of the music.
Yeah, I read your article. And I had to, some of those words that you mentioned in the article were just kind of crossed through and don't say this and be careful. But that shows up in music. You don't even see it coming if you've not done your homework. And next thing you know, you're blasting out, a trail of language that you wouldn't use in polite conversation. But there it is in your store.
Right. It's a huge challenge. If you're one of the places that is just hooking your system up to Spotify or Pandora and playing that out into the store, you're at great risk of seriously offending people with the stuff that's going to come through. I mean, heck, at our house, I have to be careful about the mix of music I play when my wife is going to be coming home because I mean, you just want to be aware of your audience, and there is some extremely harsh stuff out there these days. Another beauty of the services that we're talking about, these business-related services, is that they take care of that aspect for you as well.
I think that too many small business owners leave this as a second, as an afterthought, and leave it to chance. And this is clearly not an area that you can leave to chance, or that you cannot have seriously considered your approach. And that's the bottom line message.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like the getting the right music is a hard thing to do these days. It's a piece of cake. If you pick one of these business related solutions that we're talking about, they handle the licensing. They give you clean music. They give you a selection that's not going to be offensive. The one thing here, though, they can scan like at a basic level, if it's approved by the FCC or whoever it is that takes care of those things for like playing music over the radio. There are clean versions of, probably 2/3 of the music that's out there. There's maybe 1/3 or 1/4 of the music that's out there that there isn't a clean version of that you couldn't play on the radio, and you probably shouldn't play inside a store because it's likely to be offensive. But these music services, they will give you the clean version. They'll give you a curated selection of things that will not be offensive. What they can't do is a great job of cleaning it up for themes. The language itself is easy for them to control. If it's a theme about, oh heck, I don't know if you have a real problem with people dancing and you're gonna it is Footloose time. They can't clean up that kind of stuff. They can't clean themes out of the music, but they can help take care of the language that's inside that music and make sure that nothing's offensive that comes through.
I am recording this in North Carolina, so it's possible there's still a town or two out there that thinks that's the case. But so what makes you an expert on this, Brian? I mean, it's not like you have a background in DJing or anything. Am I right?
No, you couldn't be more wrong because I have an extremely deep background in DJing. Yeah, when I was 17, I started what you might call my first company. I was a DJ for school dances and for weddings and stuff.
I need to see those pictures. What was it called?
If I haven't destroyed them yet, they will be destroyed right after this session,
hands on those.
just to make sure that they don't get out there. No, I've always been interested in music and what it offers to an environment, and it's just been a personal passion of mine. And it's like shooting fish in a barrel at most stores you go into to help them with the way that they select their music and the way they play their music to enhance their customers' environment.
What was your company called? This might be interesting.
It was Sounds Good.
Real good. I like it.
Sounds good.
I like it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been illuminating, because a topic that we don't often explore is the logistics and the execution of something so important to the customer's emotional connection to the business. And we've had an expert in Brian Hawkins from Fixture Lab talk through it with us. So since we've been on music and we've just been talking about the technology, what do you listen to? What kind of music right now are you into? What's on your November playlist?
That's such a hard question. The music that I listen to is so all over the board. It's hard to even identify a theme. We've been talking about, there's such great tools out there to just mix things up. And I might listen to classical 1 second and rap music the next second, and dance music the second after that. I just listen to so many different kinds of things, and I'm enjoying, specifically listening to artists and music that I've never heard of before, and just exploring the ends of every genre.
We just rediscovered The National and their new album, which has been enjoyable for me. What's new for you?
Let's see, what would be a new one? I've been enjoying Billie Eilish. I like her music a lot. I like Christine and the Queens.
Those are two good ones. So, Brian, one more time, let's give our audience your contact information and how we could find you for just about everything, it sounds like, in terms of the in-store experience, including designing it from soup to nuts. So give us your contact information, where we can find you, so that we can pursue this with you.
The easiest website to find out about us is fixturelab.com. If you go there, the blog is there, like we said. You can contact us through there. You can also email me, brian@fixturelab.com. That's easy enough. You can give us a call at 303-715-4472. When it comes to the things that we're talking about the music or any of them, I'm very happy to talk with you one-on-one about your specific situation and start to make recommendations for you and help you craft the exact solution that you need for your store, because we just have our hands on lots of different ways to do things these days.
Yeah, if you're still listening, you just joined the end of the podcast goldmine. That's Brian's personal contact information and a one-on-one conversation about your challenges. So take him up on it. That is fantastic, Brian, and we really appreciate you taking your time this morning to join us. This has been Mandatory Listening with Brian Hawkins of Fixture Lab. Thanks for joining us today, Brian.
Thanks very much, Dan.
That's it for this episode. You can find Mandatory Listening on iTunes or wherever you get and subscribe to your podcasts. We'd love to hear what you think, so make sure and leave us comments on iTunes or on our website at mangroup.net, where you'll find all of our episodes. That's MANNgroup.net. Thanks for listening.